Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Beth and Rip's spinoff needs to avoid being Yellowstone Season 6, and just not because of potential legal problems. Taylor Sheridan must avoid making Beth and Rip's spinoff show into Yellowstone Season 6, not just because of the potential legal battle over the rights to stream the series. Mere days before the Yellowstone Season 5 finale, a report confirmed Beth and Rip's Yellowstone spinoff would continue the Lovebirds stories after Yellowstone's ending. While Kelly Reilly and Cole Hauser keeping their Yellowstone characters alive was an exciting prospect, the announcement triggered the potential for legal battles between the companies that stream Yellowstone and its spinoff shows, since Beth and Rip's show could look a lot like Yellowstone Season 6. The legal battles will insist that Beth and Rip's Yellowstone spinoff distinguish itself from the flagship series, and we'll get into that next. Still, legal battles aside, Reilly and Hauser's characters deserve a show that distinguishes itself from the Kevin Costner-led series. While Beth's story indelibly connects to John Dutton IEA, Case, and all the other Yellowstone Season 5 characters, Beth and Rip's substantial Yellowstone backstories and enigmatic personalities have the chops to stand on their own. So Sheridan ought to give the characters a story that's independent of the Dutton family's struggles. The Deadline report that confirmed Beth and Rip's Yellowstone spinoff insinuated that it was favorable for Paramount Network's parent, Paramount Global, to produce a new series instead of Yellowstone Season 6, because an offshoot would bring the continuation of Yellowstone into the company's ecosystem. Paramount has a deal with Peacock's parent company, NBCUniversal, giving Peacock exclusive streaming rights to the franchise's flagship. In other words, Peacock can stream Kevin Costner's series, but Paramount Plus can't. Therefore, continuing Beth and Rip's story outside the flagship allows Paramount Network and Paramount Plus to air and stream the show exclusively. A report from Puck claimed the choice to produce Rip and Beth's spinoff versus Yellowstone could trigger a legal battle with Peacock. As the Beth and Rip Yellowstone spinoff takes shape, it must distinguish itself from a potential Yellowstone Season 6 to avoid legal battles, proving that the spinoff was more than just a way to skirt the network's existing deal. The deal predates Paramount Plus, which has the rights to stream Sheridan's other series, such as prequels 1883 and 1923, and everything the screenwriter produces thereafter. Sheridan has a deal with Paramount Plus to create content for the platform until 2028. While the legal battle marks Yellowstone's Beth and Rip spinoff encountering its first big problem, it isn't bad news for the series. Other reasons exist that Hauser and Reilly's series should distinguish itself from the flagship rather than just becoming a continuation of Yellowstone with them at the center instead of Costner. Beth and Rip have rich backstories in Yellowstone, potentially more than any other characters, including John Dutton. Flashbacks in the original series extensively paint Beth and Rip's adolescence, emboldening the characters' strong personalities in the present. The continuation of Beth and Rip's story deserves the same distinguished treatment. Furthermore, Beth and Rip's story must prove it warrants a continuation. While Beth and Rip's spinoff announcement cheapened the Yellowstone season finale, the couple had a sweet ending that neatly wrapped up their story. Sheridan could have just left Beth and Rip's story where it was, allowing fans to spin their own conclusions about how the couple would navigate the brutal winters in Dillon, Montana, with their adopted son, Carter. In other words, Beth, Carter, and Rip's story didn't need to continue, but now that it will, the Dutton Wheelers need a fresh narrative that honors the family's independent journey. There are significant ties between Beth and Rip's story and a potential Yellowstone Season 6. The Deadline report suggested that Beth and Rip's spinoff will include the Yellowstone moniker in the title, and some of the flagship's main characters in the cast. With such blatant connections to the main show, the series must make decisive creative choices that distinguished Beth and Rip's story from the Montana Dynasty saga thus far. The flagship's ultimate episode set up Beth and Rip to differentiate themselves successfully, despite the Yellowstone finale ruling out an interesting Beth and Rip story in Texas. The news of a potential Beth and Rip spinoff has Yellowstone fans buzzing with anticipation. As two of the most compelling characters in the Yellowstone universe, the prospect of their story continuing or expanding into a standalone series is tantalizing. However, creating a spinoff centered on Beth Dutton and Rip Wheeler is a delicate endeavor. It's not enough to simply extend the Yellowstone narrative. The new show must carve its own identity, avoid rehashing old plot lines, and sidestep potential legal quagmires surrounding the Yellowstone brand. Moving beyond Yellowstone's shadow. Yellowstone has been a cultural phenomenon, blending family drama, Western grit, and political intrigue into a must-watch series. However, Beth and Rip's spinoff must resist becoming a mere continuation of Yellowstone's storylines. The challenge lies in differentiating the new show while honoring the essence of these beloved characters. Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 will likely conclude the main series arc, so the spinoff must tread carefully to avoid feeling like an unofficial Season 6. One way to achieve this is by shifting the narrative focus. While Yellowstone revolves around the Dutton family's fight to protect their ranch, the spinoff could explore new thematic ground. Imagine a series that delves into Beth and Rip's attempts to build a legacy outside the shadow of the Dutton Empire. This could include starting their own ranch, engaging in community projects, or even facing challenges unrelated to land disputes and family politics. By stepping into new territory, the spinoff can establish itself as a fresh, standalone story. Character-driven storytelling. Beth and Rip are complex characters with rich histories and deep emotional connections. A successful spinoff should lean heavily on character-driven storytelling. Fans are drawn to Beth's fiery independence and Rip's stoic loyalty, but the show must explore these traits in new ways. For example, what happens when their relationship faces challenges that don't stem from external threats, but from internal struggles? The series could explore themes of personal growth, redemption, and healing. Beth's traumatic past and her unrelenting nature often make her a force to be reckoned with. But what if she's placed in situations where her usual tactics don't work? Similarly, Rip's quiet strength has always been his hallmark, but how does he cope when he's forced to confront vulnerabilities he's long buried? These emotional arcs would add depth to the spinoff and provide viewers with fresh insights into these beloved characters. Avoiding over-reliance on fan service. Fan service is a double-edged sword. While callbacks and Easter eggs can delight longtime viewers, over-reliance on them can stifle originality. The Beth and Rip spinoff must resist the temptation to fill its episodes with nostalgic nods to Yellowstone. Instead, it should prioritize crafting original stories and introducing new characters who can stand alongside Beth and Rip. New characters could include neighbors, rivals, or allies who challenge Beth and Rip in unexpected ways. Perhaps a young ranch hand with a troubled past becomes a surrogate child for the couple, forcing them to confront their own unresolved issues about family. Or maybe a powerful adversary emerges, one whose motives are more personal and nuanced than the land-grabbing antagonists of Yellowstone. These additions would enrich the narrative and help the spinoff carve its own identity. Navigating legal and creative challenges. The potential legal disputes surrounding Yellowstone creator Taylor Sheridan and Paramount add another layer of complexity. Reports of behind-the-scenes tensions have cast uncertainty over the franchise's future. Any spinoff would need to navigate these issues carefully to avoid becoming mired in litigation or creative restrictions. One solution could involve ensuring the spinoff's narrative and branding are distinct enough to avoid infringing on existing intellectual property agreements. This might mean downplaying direct ties to Yellowstone's plotlines and focusing instead on Beth and Rip's personal journey. While this approach might initially disappoint fans hoping for strong continuity, it could ultimately benefit the spin-off by allowing it to stand on its own merits. Exploring a different setting. A change of scenery could do wonders for the spin-off's creative prospects. While the rugged Montana landscape is iconic, relocating Beth and Rip to a new environment could open up fresh storytelling opportunities. Imagine them moving to a less familiar, yet equally challenging, setting, perhaps a struggling ranch in the Southwest or a coastal property with its own set of environmental and social issues. This shift would not only differentiate the spin-off, but also force the characters to adapt and evolve in ways that Yellowstone never explored.